Welcome back. We're going to have ourselves a nice review of an RTZ replay where, spoiler alert, I heard about this build on Reddit. And he's about to build an item that I don't believe is very good.
Banana slam jam.
But I, being the humble man that I am, want to see exactly what he does with it and how he makes it work. So today we are going to be watching RTZ Juggernaut, and we're going to be kind of like following along and seeing if this is the new build. It seemed like that Ame Slark Radiance build didn't really pan out to be popular, but I do want to see if RTZ's build looks strong. You know, we're going to watch it today. Does it feel strong? Only one way to find out. Okay, so he gets early experience from the first blood. Doesn't get the gold, though. TP's to lane. He's going to be against Bounty Hunter Earth Spirit. I'd say that's like a pretty solid lane matchup for Jug because there's not too much physical damage here once he's in spin. They do have decent harass, though. Earth Spirit's dragging. Seems like a lot of carries nowadays like to go boots first after starting items, if you guys haven't been keeping up in depth. So here we are, 6 minutes into the game, and RTZ is a part of 2 kills, having a really good start to his lane. He's out-leveling the offlaner by about a level and a half, and he is top of the CS in his lane by a large margin. The enemy lane is struggling immensely. But here's where his build gets interesting. And so immediately I question this build. Would it be good if he wasn't winning his lane? And based on what I know about investing heavily in early game items, I would say no. So I'm going to preemptively say that you have to probably be feeling ahead in your lane. It probably doesn't have to be this much or even close to this much, but your lane probably has to feel like you're in control. So what he's going to do is he's going to queue up the Falcon Blade, an item that I deem underwhelming. If you compare it to the Aquila of old, it costs more and it gives less on average. So that's why on average, don't think the item's that great. But the fact is, you can't just directly compare it to the old Aquila because as of right now, there's really no better options when it comes to mana regen and sustain in the early game. Battle Fury feels kind of bad. Echo Saber is pretty good on a lot of heroes, but it feels like there's heroes like PA and Jug where Echo Saber just doesn't feel all that great. So if you're not going Echo Saber and you're a melee hero that needs mana, I don't really see a better option. So that's kind of what we're theory crafting here. And he's going to finish the Falcon Blade. And here's where things get spicy. So we already see him playing normal carry things where he wins his lane. He's going to jungle and rotate back to lane, being as efficient in the jungle as possible. He's actually not going back to lane, interestingly enough. Thought he would there because bounty, but I guess this is a lane kind of like Viper where it kind of griefs you to lane against the guy, right? Because even if you're farming fine, you're getting yoinked every like 5 seconds. And instead of returning to lane and just laning, he's going to gank the lane, which is kind of cool. I like that approach. It's cool. And he's going to immediately rotate bottom. I think this partially has to do with the power spike of him and his mag, but also because his lane is just not ideal, like I said. He can't really take the tower because he's against Tinker, and he doesn't want to just straight up lane against Bounty Hunter. But these are all side notes to what you just saw. It is not only one Falcon Blade, my friends. RTZ has queued up the second Falcon Blade. Now, would this build be viable if he wasn't winning his lane? Not entirely sure. Don't think so. Would this build be viable if he didn't have a Magnus? That's also another question that's worth asking. But apparently, a lot of carry players, apparently Ame has been doing it on some heroes as well, are experimenting with this double Falcon Blade build. It's especially important to note that he is a hero that doesn't build HP items that help him farm. Like, there's no HP item in the game that helps this hero farm. And we're going to see that he's hopefully not empowered most of the time. So what these Falcon Blades, I guess, are attempting to do is give him a farming tool because it allows him to spam spin. That's how it helps him farm. That also gives him some HP to work with because Jug, usually pretty squishy hero at this stage in the game, but suddenly he's got an extra 400 HP. If you compare this to, like, I mean, this is 2200 gold, so he's got 400 HP from 2200 gold. That's pretty respectable if you compare other options like Yasha and stuff, when he's only got 1700 HP total once he gets the items. And also HP does a lot on Jug because of the healing ward percentage. And it seems like he's kind of just spinning off cooldown. He prioritizes the mana item, the fairy trinket, meaning it effectively gives him mana because it makes his spells cheaper, as opposed to the broom handle that a lot of, I feel, melee carries in the past would have chosen. And he seems perfectly happy to participate in these fights, similar to what Jugs like to do. And he's going to go for like a mid-game build of a Diffusal. The issue that I always have with Jug, and a lot of heroes that are underwhelming this patch, is that they have a hard time farming and fighting. And I'm seeing that he is empowered some of this time, but I don't actually feel like this build wouldn't work if he wasn't empowered. Like, this camp would be hard to clear because it's golems, but like that stack, he would have just spun it. He has full mana. He could have afforded to spin it. But he honestly looks kind of tanky. A lot of Jugs elect to go for the stat build, and I think that's to alleviate Jug's tankiness issues in the mid-game. But it looks like because he has 2 Falcon Blades, he's electing to max out all of his abilities, including the crit, which a lot of players I've seen leave at one point. So maybe he views the Falcon Blades as not only everything that they give, but they effectively give him extra points in his abilities because he doesn't need the stats anymore. And this is the part where I would be a bit concerned that this build wouldn't work otherwise, because he is getting a huge injection of gold from these ancient stacks because of the mag and power. Because with this build, if he didn't have mag, he wouldn't be able to farm the ancients nearly as efficiently. And there's like these moments in the game where he's like content farming like this, going to his next item, and he wouldn't have been able to do that if like he wouldn't feel good farming right now instead of fighting with his team when he doesn't really want to fight because Mag doesn't have RP and Silencer doesn't have global. But now he's actually going to TP in late and get the Omni Slash kill. That extra HP really paying off here. We're really seeing that. I mean, he lived with less than the 400 HP that he's got from the items 2 or 3 times there. So that alone looks really nice. I'm really interested that he chose Fey Grenade as his neutral item. Does he really value the 20 movement speed more than like Aquila that he could have had? It's interesting. I don't think he needs Empower to do Roche. It would have been slower for sure, but I don't think he needs it. He does a pretty good amount of damage with this build. So the idea, it looks like, is farming with the Falcon Blades, but since you also are willing to fight, you then build kill items, hunt people items. I think every game it would be a bit different, but the enemy team lacks mobility other than the Earth Spirit, so Diffusal has a lot of potency in regards to locking people down. And then the Shadow Blade natural build up into the Silver Edge against the Spectre. So other games you consider Scotties, Bashers, all that kind of stuff. But he goes for the items that make sense to kill people this game. So despite everything, he's only up by 2k net worth. It's not like the game's free. He's having a really good game, but the game is by no means free. What's happening here? Okay. So he's got a massive net worth lead, though. He's super farmed. There's like this weird bug right now where if somebody opens the scoreboard, you can't see the net worth anymore. Seems like a ridiculous power spike with like 1 or 2 items plus Aegis if you get to this point. It seems very scary. He took the healing ward cooldown. Seems like the better talent from what I've seen. I tried the attack speed. The healing ward is just too necessary. He really always has mana. I will say he always has mana. Nice catch by the mag. I don't think this build would be nearly as good if he didn't feel like he could frontline with the build. So if you're against like an Ursa or something, it might feel underwhelming. But against like damage over time heroes like Earth Spirit, Spectre, and Tinker, the build definitely feels like that extra 400 HP throughout the course of the game has made a pretty big difference. Like right there, yeah, he lived with more than 400 HP, but maybe they would have committed to kill him if he was lower. And he does a lot of fucking damage. Consistently, like, toeing the line on, like, or towing the line of how low he gets. And it's weird, because his two major items give 0 HP, but he actually feels really tanky. So maybe this build just opens up super aggressive items for carries like Jug that would usually have to go Scotty or something of the like because they just have no health. Like if you compare two Falcon Blades to Battle Fury Manta, for instance, like Battle Fury Manta gives less HP than two Falcon Blades. So as long as you're able to spin to farm, of course you're going to farm slower, but at least in my bracket, you don't really have the time to farm with Battle Fury this patch, so it doesn't really feel like an option. And he goes for the Ags. So it's just all kill items after the two Falcon Blades. It's all damage, all kill. Like, yeah, Ags doesn't seem like a damage item, but it allows him to deal more damage because of the gap close, right? So 2,500 HP. I'm surprised he feels comfortable. I guess they're lingering for the mag. I was like, I don't think he should siege here against Venge. So he wasn't sieging. He was waiting until the mag caught somebody out. And the game ends pretty abruptly here. Spoiler alert. But I'm a pretty big fan of this build. It actually looks pretty good to me. The fact that he was able to participate, and I don't think he ferried himself a single clarity this entire game. It definitely was noticeable. I think I'm going to try something similar in one of my games.